Hi guys, so in this video I'm going to show you how to build a basic form with Material UI. I'm going to show you how to use text input, radio buttons, text area, and submit button. This will be a basic form, but if you get familiar with the basic, I think you can make advanced form if you want. I will actually just show you the rendering. I want to actually make this a controlled, or you can say we are not going to play with the values. We are going to just build the things, build the text input, and the UI, mainly the UI. So you can see the form we are going to actually build today, that we have just first name, last name, email, password. You can type here. It is actually hidden now. I can also show the password. And we have our radio buttons. We have some radio buttons. You can select any of these, and here is a message. You can write a message. This is a text area. You can write multi-line text here. And then there is a submit button. Actually it is not working this form because we actually didn't make this workable. So the logic is for another video, but I just want to show you how to render these things, build these things. Then you can actually implement the logic things if you want. Okay, so let's get started with code. I think we are going to mostly copying the code from the documentation, and we will use them. So most of the time you will actually copy code and use them in your code. There will be some times when you have to use advanced things, that is not you will not do in regular basis. But I think if you just get familiar with the basic things, you will be able to do the advanced things by your own. So so if I go to the code section, I am actually made this form before this video, so that I can show you what we are going to build today. So I actually have two files. The one is actually I have built the whole thing, and I am actually going to show you again by building this in the second file. So I'll remove this one and I'll just say 2, and I'll import this one from the file path. So first thing I will, if we see the result now, if we see the output, and it is actually empty. I actually made the theme is too dark. So if we get started with first thing, we need paper, something paper, so that it actually pop up, so it will look a little bit better. So I'll just take a paper, and here I will take a form element to uh, to hold everything in this form. You in the real world, you will also use a form or form control, something like that, where you will hold everything in a form. So I'll just took them, but I actually have to this is actually I said it is a review field, but you can take anything you want. So first I will take a typography for the review or something like that to write that. So if I just see that in the output, here is the review text. So I will design a little bit I will design it. So I will say font size will be something like 38 pixel. It will get bigger. And again I'll say font weight will be like bold, and I'll say font family will be mono space. If I go there, and there is one more thing, I want to change the color also. So I will say color primary dot darker version of the primary from the theme. I actually changed the theme color, the primary color, to blue color, so it is now looking blue. So I actually want to give some space here. I actually want to move it a little bit down. So I will say the paper. I will go to the paper and say, I can say margin top or something. I actually have to, I think, take the axis property, and I can say margin top like 8 or something like that. If I and this is actually moved a little bit. So then I will take uh, text field. So I'll just copy this text field. I am just taking the basic thing. If you want, you can take also this one or this one. First go to the text field section, to the documentation, then you can take anything you want by just opening the code area, and whatever you like you can just match that up. That this is hello world, this is writing with hello world. You can they actually default value, they give some default value to hello world. You can copy it and use it. So I'm going to use the default basic thing. Actually we don't need that much advanced thing here to build something. So first thing, I have given the typography text to headline to the form. Then I can say I will first separate them things differently. Like I'll take a box component from material UI. Then I will just paste the text field. Now I actually have to import it. So I am going to take my cursor here and I will press Ctrl space, so that Visual Studio Code will give me suggestion to import, and I will just select the first one, so it will be imported. Okay, so Ctrl and space, it will give you import suggestions. Okay, so I have just pasted it. If we see the uh, output, it actually rendering it in the middle, but we don't want this. So we'll say we also want one more thing here. We actually want one more text field here. So I will just for first name and last name, so I'll just say I'll just copy it in the down. So I'll say first name, and I can also say last name. Then if I just save it, then if I go, there should be two. Actually it is loading very slowly. Text field. I can now separate them by saying box. I will take a sx, and I will say display flex, so that I can give some gap between them. Gap for 3 2 for now. If I give them, so they actually move to the left, but I actually don't want this. I want some padding here also, here and there. Okay, so I'll go to the paper and I'll say padding in x-axis I will say 4, and padding y-axis, in y-axis I want like 2. So it should look a little bit better. And this is, I actually want one more thing. I can say elevation like 8 to pop up a little bit more. It is actually too much. I will say 4. So it is actually popping out a little bit. So I also want these two things to like take equal space. So I'll just go here and I'll just say sx with 1 by 2, so it will actually means half. So if I just save it, it will take half space of the full space it is getting. I will also copy it and just paste it here, so it also becomes a half. So it is now taking the two are taking half space. I also want some margin here in the bottom of the text. I can say go here and say margin bottom like 4, bottom 4 some margin. Okay, so we are done with the first name and last name. We can say Hassan and also name. So we are done with the first name and last name. Then we want email. We can also use this field one or the outline one. I am actually going to make it basic, so I'll just copy this one, copy this box. I also want some margin to the bottom. I can say margin bottom 2 cause I need some margin there. I'll just now paste it, and if I remove one, if I just remove one and say this one will be email. And there is one more thing, I want this to actually full width, so I can say full width. There is a property, just you have to just say full width, then it will work as a full width. So if I come here now, this is like a full width text field, so it is taking the whole available space. So we are done with the email, and then we need a password field. So we can take anything from here if we want. This one is also good, this one is also good, but I want to a little bit advanced, a little bit advanced thing like this one. We have a icon or something like that. We can actually take this one. So if I just find this one here, if I can just find it from here, we actually have to search for password. This password, yes, I think this one I think this is starting from there and it is ending here. Okay, I'm just copying it and I'm just going to paste it here. If I paste it just here in the, okay, we are missing a lot of things. I'm just going to just import them one by one. I'm just pressing Ctrl space, and then the suggestion is given by the VS Code. We have two more things here. We have two more things, and we have some variables, or you can say state. So you have to import the button. We will just copy them from here. If we just go to the top, and they have just defined some variables and function. For state, I will just go to the top of my page component, then I will also paste them. So I think everything is now fine. If I go to my okay, this is taking actually the space, and we actually have to separate them so that they can get they can be in two lines. So I also want this password is in the full width, so I'll just copy the whole thing and I'll just get outside of the box so that uh, we can get into the next line. So I will actually wrap this whole thing in a box cause I want them to contain in a box. So if I save it now, it should be in the new line. I also want this full width, so I'll just say they actually defined width here, but we don't want this. We actually will say width, we can say 100%. 100% width, it will take the 100% width available. And I also want some margin here, margin bottom. We will again go to the box section and say margin bottom 2, and we'll also do the same thing in this box. So we will actually keep a consistency in our design, so it will look a little bit well. So it is now working, so as we are expected. So okay, next thing I want to show you the radio buttons a little bit different, because in from the normal HTML they actually have this thing, form label. If you are a beginner, just copy this code and use them, but after 2 or 3 times you should try to understand the code, like they are using a radio component here in the control prop. They are also using label uh, for the text, female, male, or other. Okay, so you have to you will understand these things just by using 1 or 2 times. So in the first, you don't have to actually worry about everything. I just paste this radio thing here, and I also have to copy this box so I can separate them. And just make the space and cut it from here, and I'll paste it here. I also have to import things, so I'll just import them one by one. Also radio, and I think everything is now fine. If I go to the page, it should be rendered here. Okay, it is actually rendered here. Now it is working. Okay, then the next thing is I want to show you a text area. So I actually have to go a text field. I will go to the bottom, and they actually have shown them here, multi-line text field. Okay, so I'll just copy this one. So I have to first find it. Sorry, I actually have to find it here. So this is a field, this is actually a field, text field, and these are outline or standard variant. Okay, so I will just copy the field one. So I'll just copy this one, and I'll go to my code, and I'll also paste it here. And there is one more thing, I also want it to separate from other things. So I'll just copy the box, and I'll move it to the inside of that box. If I now go to the page, it should render. Actually, yes, it is rendering, but I also want this one, the whole width, and I also want to change this text. So the first thing I want to change the default value to, like, you can start with hi, I am something, then you can like start. The level would be a message. I can say a message. So the default value is changed, I guess. Yes, the default value is not changed. And I have one more thing, I want to make this full width, so I'll say just full width. So it is now full width. And there is one more thing, that the last thing, I want a button. So I'll just go to the bottom of my page, and I will just also want to separate this one button from other things. So I'll just copy it, and in this box I will say button submit. meet, and I also have to import this button, and I also want to say variant. It will be a basic button if I just keep it like this, basic button, but I want this button variant. Suppose we have three options: text, outline, or content. I'll go to content. I also want this full width. It will make full width. So yeah, I want this one. Okay, so it is now looking like the form. So you can make a form like this. You can also make this workable, functionable. If I submit, you can console log everything, console log the every value you type here. You can do, or you can also pass this value to the database by API. You can do everything, but I just wanted to show you the how to build this UI with material UI. So that's it, and that's it. I will see you actually in the next video. Okay.